background.
Hey, all right. So, welcome to another Thinking Out Loud segment. This is Theus with Complex Mind, Simple Man. And I have my partners, Antoine and Tracy, with me. Uh, so, got a treat for you today. We're going to talk about a variety of subjects. We're going to hop in with a little bit of some local politics for me and Antoine. We're here in the metro Atlanta area. So, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Of course, it has implications on a national scale. It's all part of the big game that's going on. You'll see in a minute. We're also going to talk about a few other topics. Tracy, what was it that you wanted to bring up? Not the ghetto AI. What was the other one?
The fallout cosplaying of Black businesses.
That was the ghetto AI one.
No, that was not.
That was different.
It's different. I mean, they go together, but
All right, we
I
want to talk
want
about the
to talk
Asian
about
boycott.
the fallout from the Asian boycott, which
Yeah,
ghetto
let's talk
AI
about,
is actually a part of that.
yeah, let's hit up on an Asian boycott. So you're gonna get a little bit from all of us. But before we get started, I'm gonna bring my partners down here for just a moment. All right, so everybody, hopefully you can see my screen. I'm not really good at this thing, but anyway, hey guys. Um, for those of you who don't already know, I am the owner, operator, founder of Our United Core, and we are working on our core learning initiative, and it's already active. We do have a couple of participants, but we are ready to move to the next position, which is where we're going to actually be renting or securing some retail real estate, so to speak. We can't buy the building yet. We ain't got no money. But what I am asking you to do is please check out the link on your screen. It will take you to a short survey. This is a market survey. It just gives me some information to work from. And it also helps me begin the process of generating an email contact list. So if you have a student, they don't have to be in Georgia. They don't have to be local to me, because we are looking at in-person workshops as well as a digital version. We're just trying to figure out which way to go. And that is really going to be driven by what people are able to tell me. So please take a few moments, go to the link, fill it out, help me understand where we want to go next, because the kids are excited. I'm excited. I think we got some really cool things coming down the line, but we want to make sure that we're doing this in a way that makes sense, because if you don't want it, there's no point in doing it. All right. So check out the link, Core Learning. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Back to our regularly scheduled program, bringing back my people. I don't know why it's not showing them. Here we go. There we go. All right. So I did my little spiel, and now we're going to hand it off to Antoine, and take it away, sir. How do you want to move it?
Well, so here, I was just talking about her, us in Georgia. We had a little small victory. We were up for our voters' maps getting redone and stuff like that, and that was held off until the next election. So this election cycle is mid-cycle. We won't be having those maps. But not that to say that won't happen later on. The agenda will be brought up later on. Now, when that agenda will happen, we don't know. But the Republicans have said that they agree that it's too much disruption right now, that we shouldn't do it right now. Okay. So what does that really mean, right? We just had our elections to decide who we're running for governor. We have Keisha Lance Bottoms for Democrats, and then we have Rick Jackson, who is for the Republicans. Rick Jackson was Kemp's candidate, and then Burt Jones was the Trump candidate. So we were talking about before we came onto the pod, some of the tactics that they're using to kind of disillusion the voters, or so to speak, to think that the outsiders are winning again. You know what I'm saying? That it's like, it's not like that these people who are not politicians or crooked politicians are getting back to the back to being what the populace is. So I don't know. Can we show the video now? Or do you want to not show it?
No, I can do it.
All right, let's show it.
Look at the headlines today about the Georgia elections. They want you to celebrate a grand victory for the supposed outsider, and they're spinning a beautiful narrative about a self-funded billionaire, Rick Jackson, who just marched into Georgia, dropped over $100 million of his own money, and smashed the political establishment by defeating Trump's hand-picked candidate. They want you to believe the citizens have won, and that the machine has been disrupted, and that the underdogs are coming back. But it's a lie, and it's the illusion of choice, carefully manufactured to keep us trapped in their theater. Let's look past the media claims and pull back the curtain on this supposed outsider. Where did that $100 million come from? Because they say it's personal wealth, but the truth is, Jackson Healthcare pulled in nearly $1 billion through state contracts from 2020 through 2026, bleeding the taxpayers dry during a systemic crisis. The system itself literally funded his fortune with our money, and then he used that exact same state-backed capital to buy the governor's mansion. But look at who's running his boardroom, because it's Trump's inner circle. His advisory board features Tom Price, a former Trump administration official, right alongside establishment dynasty figures like Jeb Bush, whom Jackson partnered with to launch a corporate acquisition firm. They claim he defeated the Trump agenda, but just months ago, Jackson quietly channeled $1 million directly into Trump's primary super PAC. He funded the top of the centralized power grid while pretending to fight its local branches. Both opponents in this race were hand-picked assets of the exact same corporate state apparatus. The wealthy predators fund both sides of the political spectrum, script the arguments, and celebrate the outcome because, no matter who wins the ballot, the agenda remains untouched. They exhaust us with tribal theater so we don't see the reality, that a billionaire replacing a politician is just the system upgrading its interface to privatize our lives under the guise of efficiency. So wake up to their script, because true independence isn't bought at the ballot box. Stand up, unite, and stop trying to vote for a savior that's never going to come from the same system that's building your cage. We do not forgive, we do not forget. Anonymously enlightening out.
All right. So when I saw that, I had to send it to you, Theus, because I was like, that's crazy. But something about that, though, when I just saw it the second time, just reminded me of how we're being treated, how the Democratic Party and the Republican Party is being treated by Israel too, funding both sides of the coin. Because in the Tallarico case, this Beth Edelstein or whatever her name is, she funded Tallarico's campaign as well as she funded the Democrat on the Republican side. So she's funding her candidates either way, right? So I thought that was interesting because the same thing happens when we look at who's getting AIPAC money anyway, or not just AIPAC money, but just Israel influenced money. So I thought that was interesting because he talked about how the how both sides, they're controlling the agenda from both sides. And I think that's just how politics is right now. What do you think?
So just did a quick search and just as a thing, these are our opinions and this is how we're interpreting a lot of the things that are moving around us. But so how do I think about it? I think that once you're dealing with wealth, like true wealth, true wealth, okay, we're talking about 100 millionaires and billionaires. I think that the entire party identity thing falls apart and it's not very useful because at that level, they're funding everybody. Okay, so that they have leverage on everybody. So I don't know if Edelson gave money to Tallarico. It doesn't matter to me if she did. What does matter to me is that people like her have clear social agendas and they're purchasing politicians to move those agendas. And
Right.
if they think the Republicans can do it for them, they'll do that. If they think the Democrats can do it for them, they'll do that. If there's ever a time that independents or third parties or anybody else comes into enough power, they'll go get them too. There is no true fix for it, I don't think, because the whole world wrestles with the whole democratic world wrestles with this. But just because there's no fix for it doesn't mean there aren't repairs that are needed. There aren't, there's a lot of controls I think that are needed, and we have to disrupt how easy it is to purchase these people. So that's how I come at it. And then like this guy, I've already forgotten his name, Jackson, I guess. To me, the ties that he has to Trump are real, but they're not that important to me, because I don't think Trump is the puppet master. I think that there are levels above him that are controlling what's happening. And he's able to do a lot of weird stuff right now because that's how you kind of keep, grandpa under control. When he decides he wants to paint the fountain pink, you let him do it because he's going to let you do what you want over here. Right. So I don't know. For me, this guy is a problem because I think all billionaires are a problem. Even the billionaires who are on our side. Like, I'm not like a lot of our more aggressive lefties who will say, not just that all billionaires are a problem, but we need to get rid of all billionaires. I don't say that. I say that you can't become a billionaire by being a good person. Like, I don't see where that happens. Because to get that big, you kind of had to take advantage of somebody. But then again, business dictates you take advantage of people and you take advantage of things. And who's to say you didn't build a great business and somebody bigger than you was willing to pay you $1 billion to take it from you? Did you do anything wrong in there per se? No, probably not. So I just don't think it's a straight line on all this, but I do think this guy is not right for Georgia. I think that billionaires and clear corporate elitists have proven they're just not right for this time. Like, if you want to get a billionaire 10 years ago, or you want to get a billionaire 5 years ago, or maybe get a billionaire 20 years from now, we'll be in a different climate in all of those situations. But right now, small me, little old me, I just think that it's more about, we have to make it more about public service, and we have to put some controls in place. And I don't see where a billionaire coming into a position of power is going to put controls.
Right. Where's he going to relinquish our control to? He's not going to relinquish his control.
Yeah, I don't see them doing that. I mean, I already don't see regular people doing it. So I really don't see someone who has $1 billion. I mean, you're a pure shot caller. You answer to no one. People answer to you. In what world do you come in and be like, yeah, I'm going to give all this up and give it back to the poor people? What? So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to monopolize. Or
be concerned what poor people say.
Or working class.
Yeah, what I care.
Always working class people, And he don't listen to them, I guarantee you. So,
and you have to know, so his only lens is to exploit people. His only lens is to exploit the working class to get more profit. That's the lens he looks through. I mean, to a certain degree, all business owners have to look how to increase their profit margin so that they can, have a successful business. But at that scale, you scaled up to $1 billion. You have learned how to make sure you maintain your profitability over everything else.
You've made sure that you keep in my view, outsized portion of the profits.
Right.
Because I had this conversation with someone when we were talking about sports and, athletes getting their name and likeness contracts and all that stuff. Like I was saying, that money is coming into the system regardless. Okay. If it's $1 billion for our purpose of conversation, that $1 billion is coming in regardless. Now, what do you do with it? Do you spread it among your workers and you pay yourself perhaps more than any of your workers? I don't care about that. That's capitalism. But how are you able to get to $1 billion and your employees are not all millionaires? The only way you can do that is you kept the profits and you gave them a paycheck. And I have a problem with that. So, Tracy, you got any thoughts on it?
Y'all talking Georgia, so I'm playing Candy Crush.
Well, we're not talking Georgia per se. I mean, the guy is in Georgia, but we're talking about.
I know. I'm just like.
This same thing happens all over this.
I know, but I was playing Candy Crush, so I really wasn't, tied in. So I'm gonna put that there.
I picked up Candy Crush because I hadn't played it in some years, and I got a new phone from a couple years ago. So I was like, let me put this in. I got to like level 800 and something, and ended up on an impossible level. And so I've used all my little stuff. I refuse to give you money. That's not happening. So now
let me turn it out. So here's what I'll say. Third parties have been saying this forever and a day. We've been saying this over and over and over and over and like, I don't want to be the one that be Debbie the Downer, but I'm gonna be Debbie the Downer. Like, when y'all gonna listen to what? Not y'all, but when is society going to listen to us? And now we have a trillionaire.
Which means we'll have more soon.
Yeah, we'll have more trillionaires, billionaires. They don't care who they give their money to, as long as they can buy whatever politician they can. They don't care. They'll give to both sides in the same campaign.
Absolutely.
In the exact same campaign. AIPAC gave money to Harris. AIPAC gave money to Trump. Same thing. Big Pharma gave to Harris. Big Pharma gave to Trump. Mm-hmm. Big Tech gave to Harris. Big Pharma gave. Big Tech gave to Trump. Like, we've been saying this. I don't know. Like when is y'all gonna listen to us? We've been telling y'all. We've been telling y'all.
I'll say, because I brought up this very similar principle to Antoine, but on a different topic. We were talking about Killer Mike. And
oh my God.
Because I've been saying the same thing for 20 years now. I've been saying the same thing for 10 years online. I've been saying it to people in person and virtual. It ain't getting no traction. But let a celebrity say an inch of what I said, and it's magic.
Yeah, it's like everybody pays attention.
But you know what? I can be mad about that, or I can just realize that's how people are wired. So they need someone that they want to be to say something they want to hear, and they'll take a piece of it and maybe learn from it. That's just how people are. So third parties, they might be saying some stuff, but y'all ain't got no presence.
Especially Americans, we are so easily distracted. It's like, what's the distraction this week? Trump says Arabs called Obama at SOB. We know it was him. Like what?
Yeah, like Arabs are like, he's like there was be actually say, oh, Obama's stupid, but you're smart. Trump, you're smart.
Yeah, for real. But I'm just saying, it's like we're distracted by dance, music, film. We're just distracted. And I'm like, people, pay attention. Like, example, in Indiana, something that's happening. It probably happens in Georgia. I don't know. Our utility companies are not publicly owned. I don't know why. This is the best way to prevent disconnections, but they're not. So they have to go through the Indiana legislature to hike rates. Ask me, have they ever been denied? No, they have not.
She said it backwards, Antoine.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah.
I said it backwards.
Yeah, you said that they're not publicly owned, but you basically mean they're not privately owned.
No, I'm saying they're not publicly owned. Like, I don't own the light company. They're privately held. They're privately held corporations.
Okay, so the government does not own them.
Does not own them.
Okay.
So how they get rate
that's what-
hikes then?
They have to go through the legislature.
It's the same
to
way here
ask
in
for a
Georgia.
rate hike.
They have to go to the insurance commissioner. I mean, what's it called? Not the commissioner.
Yeah. So insurance, okay, I'm sorry because I was about to mix it because Antoine, you got me. Utilities, like here we have Georgia Power. You probably got whatever your version is. Technically, that is a privately owned corporation, but they're semi-government because they're so intricately linked, and it's a public utility. So they have to go to the state when they want to do a rate hike so that they don't get hit with like antitrust or whatever rules they can throw at them. So they have to go and ask for it. I think that's a good thing. That's regulations. That's good. The problem is they just get a rubber stamp most often, and it happens anyway.
But they've also gone through some deregulations in the past year too.
Oh, absolutely. Republicans have been deregulating everything.
Yeah.
And Democrats have been helping. But what I'm saying is, it is, in my view, it is good that if the utility company wants to raise my rates, that they can't just arbitrarily do so. They have to go to the state. The problem is, once you go to the state, everything is so corrupt and twisted that
because they
it gets
donate,
passed right
they
through.
give
anyway.
money to the politicians, and the politicians, it's a you scratch my back, I scratch yours type of situation. And that's what I'm like, people, these need to be publicly owned by the public. How many times have I said this? How many times have I'm talking about me, advocated for this?
Are you advocating for like you own the company?
Yeah.
Is that what you're advocating? So you, a person, a private citizen, owns the company.
Yeah, all the citizens of Indiana would own AES.
Oh, okay. So you are actually leaning back towards government. You're just thinking government ain't doing it right then. So it'd be like a co-op.
I don't know where I'm leaning for, but here's what I will say. I don't think anybody should face disconnection in the middle of winter or summer or spring.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you go public, if you go completely publicly owned, right? What'll happen is you'll have somebody that'll buy it out. You have a majority, somebody who come in with a majority, buy the majority of it, and then just do what they want to do with it. They'll control the board at that point.
Yeah, if it's privately owned, meaning regular corporations like me, I own something, then if I'm Elon Musk, I would go buy up all your stuff. Okay.
But if you have a section in there that says it can't be privately owned because it's a public utility, then
it should be a government entity. It should not be.
Yes, and then you would elect a board of citizens.
Yes,
right.
And then the citizens would then determine, hey, do these rates really need to go up?
And that would be great if we didn't live in such a hyper capitalist.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Republican thing.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why people say eat the rich. I'm with you. I don't preach eat the rich. But you didn't get rich.
I get rich now. Hold on, eat me.
No, wait a minute. No, they say eat the billionaires. Eat the rich.
Okay. Leave us little $1,000 alone now. Leave us little $100,000 alone.
But you didn't get to be
that don't count.
How
do we got trillionaires? Millionaires is poor.
Yeah, we poor now.
You don't get to be a billionaire because you're such a nice person and you make ethical. You done stepped on some folk. You done stepped on people. You made contributions.
Here's the problem with that, though, because I really think that
I see where they're going. I don't believe in saying people don't have the right to exist. That's not something I believe in. But then on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, they did. How did they get all that money?
But here's my thing: everybody likes to play in everybody else's pockets. So I'm like, think it through. It's the same argument I've made so many times when we're talking about labor, right? Where everybody thinks labor's the good guys and management's the bad guys. And I'm like, you do understand without management does a job. Okay. They're not on the factory floor, but they're making sure you have your contracts. They're making sure the money moves where it needs to go. They're doing all these other things. They are working too, right? The
If
problem
they're
is,
ethical.
huh?
If they're ethical.
No, they're in for the business to operate. They have to do those things. Now,
Yeah,
how much
right.
greed
If
is in the
they're
system is different.
yeah, above board. Just like working for companies that, and I'll call them Amazon. Amazon laid off 60,000 people for literally no reason. This company made
That's what
billions,
you think.
almost trillions of dollars. And what they lay off people for? Oh, because of AI. Really? Really?
Yes. And so I'm not saying it's cool, but what I am saying is if I really wish more people would spend time understanding business and understanding accounting, because when you employ as many people as Amazon does and you drop 60,000 people, mathematically, they ain't dropped that many people. Okay.
Right,
But
like
for each of those
1% of their-
60,000 people, it was a huge deal.
Yes.
Now,
and it
now-
sounds big to us, but mathematically might be 0.5% of their workforce.
But now what I'm going to get at is this. The people who are crying the loudest and just painting everybody with broad brushes, I've not come across any of them who are responsible for anything or anyone, right? They don't have to make payroll. They don't have to make sure the business exists 10 years down the road. They are labor, right? Like me, I'm labor. But what I'm saying is you can't run a business the way these people are talking, right? Like
everybody's not going to make the same amount of money.
It's the same argument as you had workers in the fields manually picking all of your crops, and then along comes these big tractors that can do the job of 10 people. Do you keep the other 10 people on payroll and they ain't got nothing for them to do? No, they've been outmoded. So that's life. You know what I'm saying? Now, if we want to fix it, one of the ways we look at it is, one, are people being provided actual opportunities to upscale their skills? Because it's easy to say, get more skills. That ain't a solution. That's just wagging your finger at somebody. Are you making it possible for them to get better skills? And if they get them, can you make sure they get a job? America fails that test. Then you got, okay, well, let's have a minimum income thing, whatever that thing is called.
UBI.
Universal basic income. Okay, fine. The way you have to do that, though, is you got to address your tax situation. And then you also have to adjust for what does a society need to still be functional and beneficial, right? So what I've run into is a lot of dreamers and a lot of passionate people who don't think anything through. They stop at a certain point that's convenient, but they don't want to go to that next point and start making those hard decisions. I'm saying let's have the hard discussions. Let's actually say, if we put that in place, Amazon, you're not allowed to fire anybody. How's Amazon run their business? What incentivizes Amazon to ever upgrade its technology? And I'm not trying to cape for Amazon because I think they're a bad player, but they are a corporation, and corporations all are moving through these same trade-offs, right? Do I keep somebody on the job that I don't need anymore? I don't think you do. Like, can somebody make a case for me keeping somebody on a job that I don't need?
This is why I'll probably never be a billionaire, because I just don't have that.
I'm not even talking about the billionaire. I'm just talking about you're responsible for a thing.
Yeah, even if you're
I know,
a small
that's why I'm
business
like,
owner.
it's
Even
a
if you're a
hard,
small
it's a
business
hard,
owner,
it's
the
not an
same
easy
questions
question,
happen.
but I'm saying, hey, people are stuck. We could easily solve this with a federal jobs guarantee program. That's something that we could literally do.
Would that truly solve it? Because let's have that discussion. I would, if y'all don't mind. So let's say we have a federal jobs program, right, where you can go get a job in the private market, or you can come work for the government. And there's always a need. America always has a need. Okay, but what about the people who don't want to? Do I still need to send them money? I still got to make sure they stay alive, right?
Right. Here's what I would say. And this is, I had somebody on my show talk about this, because what I couldn't understand, I was like, well, what about, because I was using infrastructure as the way to get jobs because
That's one way.
our water systems are terrible. Yeah, we got some
Yes.
jacked up water. That is an immediate. We need to fix our water and we need to fix them now. So I was thinking infrastructure. I didn't think about the person that sweeps the church hall. I wasn't thinking about the person that watches some kids, watches kids for the mother that's got to go to work. I didn't think about all of those things. I was just thinking down this little narrow way. You could open that up for anything. People that wash cars. That's a job. I
How
don't
much
want to
should I
wash
pay you
my
to
car.
wash my car? How much should I pay you to wash a car?
I'm willing to pay
You're
$20.
gonna say it should be at least $25 an hour.
Yeah, I probably am gonna say
I'm not
that.
paying you $25 an hour to wash my car.
Because you're only going to wash it for how many cars you going to wash?
Inside in, out, yeah, inside and
Well,
out.
to be
Have
fair,
you seen my car though? Have
to
you
be
seen
fair
my
though,
car though?
if you get your car detailed, it's about $40-$50.
No, it's about $100
Thank you.
if you want a
Yeah.
detail.
Yeah, you detail about
Yeah,
$40-$50.
you
at
get your
least.
car detailed with the tires and the inside and the vacuuming and
I get it, but I would like to actually explore this because, like, you were saying like the person who sweeps the floor and the people who does the daycare and all that. And you know what's funny is you were describing when you were talking about infrastructure is like the hard stuff, like bridges, waterways, electrical systems, right? The actual
Right.
what we think of when we say infrastructure. But that's not you being narrow. It's just that you hadn't carried your thought to the next level. You're on the right path, in my view. Because here's what happens. Because I made a video, it was long, it was boring, and nobody watched it. But anyway, let's say that we go with pick your infrastructure project. You want to do the water?
build our bridges.
Do
'Cause
roads.
a
Anyone,
public,
just pick
a
one
real
for me.
system, a real system that's like fast and not, yes, real systems.
Yeah, just pick one for me. Rail?
No.
You said
Yes.
rail?
Yeah,
Yes.
rail systems.
All right. So
Yes.
so let's say a rail system. Now, currently in America,
High speed rail.
Yes, thank you. High speed
Okay.
rail.
so first of all, in America, we don't have high-speed rail. So that would be a new project. Okay. So you'll need the engineers and the architects and the soil sample scientists, all these people, those are jobs. Okay. You'll also need the people who will physically be laying the rail. Those are jobs. You also need the people who will be manufacturing this stuff, shipping it in, getting it all, the logistics of it all. Those are jobs. Those people who are getting paid to do those jobs are going to need daycare. Those are jobs. You see what I'm saying? So everything you're talking about, Tracy, if America would just invest in America, those jobs do start to come up. Where I fall off of a lot of the true like super lefties is that they want everybody to get paid all this money. And some jobs pay more than other jobs because more demand is out of that job or the skill sets
A
are different.
doctor should pay more. A doctor should, like an oncologist pediatrician should make more than a regular pediatrician.
Well, perhaps. So I would say in a socialized medicine environment, yes, they would get paid more, but it wouldn't be like lights out money like we do now.
Oh, yeah, like not
Right? You know,
Band-Aid. Really?
a general practitioner might make $150,000 a year government salary, but a specialist might make $300,000 a year, depending upon their specialty, right? But they wouldn't be making $1 million. They wouldn't be making $2 million, right? If you want to do that, then you got to go in the private sector and make your money over there.
Right. And then once you start creating those jobs, like me, my goal is to make enough money to afford housekeeping. I hate to clean. I hate it. I don't
Well, I can
like
help
it.
you solve that. Housekeeping will cost you about, depending upon what you need, housekeeping will probably run you about $250 to $500 on the high end a month. So you just need to find a way to make an extra $700 a month.
Yes.
And if you look at it that way, you can go make $700.
Yeah, if I made more, if I went and got one of those jobs you're talking about, like the engineer, of course, I would have to have a degree. But just in that world, if I'm getting that type of job, then I'm going to start needing, I'm going to buy clothes, I'm going to buy food, I'm going to buy a car, I'm going to buy a bigger house, I'm going to do all of these other things that will create. We don't even think that way. I mean,
we don't think that way.
Think that way. But I don't think our government officials think that way.
Well,
Our
no,
government
because
officials definitely don't think that way.
they think from a service-based industry. They have a service-based industry model, or they have a tech model. If you look
And
at
that
if you
would
look
be
at if you look at China, China did this already. China did invest in their
China's been doing it.
middle.
They're so far ahead of us that
Yeah, they
it's like
invest. They
This
invested in the
middle,
middle class. They invested in.
they
Excuse me, they invested in middle
literally
class.
have almost a zero rate pop. They have a very low poverty rate, very low, and they have 1 billion people, so it can be done.
but see, but this is a simple. I mean, a great example of how things look complicated domestically and look so simple internationally. It's not that rosy because the people who are in China that are poor, because there are a lot of poor people in China, they're stuck there. There's no way out for them. They can't go to the middle class. It's a very restrictive society. So you have to take the good with the bad. So if you want a demand economy where the government is a dictatorship or whatever term we want to use for China right now, I think they're kind of like a dictatorship, but they're almost like a monarchy. It's just a weird kind of thing they got
like
going
they're
on.
almost like a democratic.
Yeah, I'm not going to call them communists. I'm like, communist
Well, they are
China. I'm
communists.
like,
They are communists, but communist isn't a bad word. You know, it's
but
a
Americans think it is.
because Americans are illiterate.
They don't know what the hell it is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're not going to get to that, but what I'm saying is, it's like we are so far behind it. All we had to do is put our, like when I say a federal jobs guarantee, you can pick rail, high-speed rail, you can pick water pipes. Again, our water is, the treatment of the water is terrible. The way the water flows is terrible. Pick which one you want to start with.
Unless your community has been recently founded, which I say in like the last 50 to 100 years, well, 50 years. In the last 50 years, if your community was started, you got decent stuff. But America has not invested in actual infrastructure in longer than that time. So that stuff is all aging out. It was good technology at the time, bad now that we can look back at it and say, hey, this is lead, this is this is that. But the reason we can't fix it is because there's no profit in it. Now, if you want to put profit in it, then you got to give it to private companies. You give it to private companies, now there's nothing to make sure they do the work. So, and the way they derive their profit is by getting it out to government, right? So it's so many trade-offs that have to go into it. And I'm just saying, if we want to do some of the things that like you're advocating for and things like that, cool. But you got to take all of it. Like you can't just take the happy side of it. You know, you want to lay out high-speed rail. High-speed rail needs very flat land. It can't be doing all this ups and downs and twists and turns. So that means eminent domain. You're going to be taking people's land.
That's a good point.
You ready for that? You know? So it's like there's so much that has to go with it.
And guess where that land going to be taken from?
Absolutely.
Black people.
It's going through poor people and black people.
Exactly.
Quick.
Well, it's always us first. We always get it first.
Well, we ain't got that much land, so if that helps.
But it just goes to our communities, though.
Yeah, like the highways. Literally destroyed our community so you can put up a highway. You know, railroads. There's a reason why a lot of railroads go right through the town, and on one side of town is black, on the other side of town is white. Like this is accidental. But we can't argue that railways make our products and services move faster across the country. So it serves the country, but it hurts some people. These trade-offs will always exist. And what frustrates me is like when I talk to the dreamers, they don't think of that. They don't think about who gets hurt.
You're always going to have trade-offs. I mean, you just are. Even if you talk about something that I've been wanting to do, publicly financed elections. That has a trade-off. Because now you're talking about, oh, well, politicians got to give up all of that money. They got to spend more than 6 months out of the year on the phone fundraising. Then they got to actually do their jobs. How dare we ask them to do their jobs?
Well, that's not the actual trade-off. Because we would all agree, all the voters anyway, I don't think you're going to find any voters who would say, I feel so bad for the politician. No, you ain't gonna get that. But what you will get is you move away from what we do now to public funding. then
Why
what
should
you're
I
gonna
have to pay for their money to lie to me?
why am I going to pay for the Democrats to do their marketing? Why am I paying for Republicans to do their marketing? I don't even vote. Why would I have to pay for these? Right? You're going to have that. You're also going to have like more than what half of the money will no longer be flowing through the system. So what happens to the marketing firms and the PR firms and
the
you know
consultants and the surveyors
people
and the
start
phone
getting
bankers
laid off all of a
and the
sudden.
petitioners. But some states, like some states, not in Indiana, thank goodness, when a third party candidate wants to run, I forget, I don't know what the requirements are in Georgia, but in Indiana, there's a certain amount of petitions you have to get based off the district you're in. And my guest yesterday was talking about how he's having trouble getting like 384. And I'm like, 384, you're having trouble getting it? But then I start thinking, he's in a highly Republican district.
Okay.
It's
It's
just
100%.
him.
What do you say, Tracy?
No, I was just saying, I thought, well, shoot, I could get 384 by myself.
Well,
That's a
like,
church.
Yeah, that's a church. Like, go hit up the right church, bro. But the other thing I would say though is
he don't have no base though. That would tell me he don't have no base.
That just because you want to do something, you got to have a market for it.
It's still at the end of the day, it's still a populist vote. If you ain't got nobody that wants to hear what you got to say, then what the fuck is you talking about?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Because you want to win.
Yeah, where was y'all at yesterday when I was trying to think of that question? I was like,
because like if I'm sitting there and you want to do, I want to make pork rinds the state food, and nobody else, and I'm in a place where nobody eats pork, then I ain't got no base. So I don't know, but nobody's gonna hear what I got to say. Like I'm not gonna get no 384 votes because let's say I'm just for the sake of throwing shit out. Let's say I'm from the pedophile society and I want pedophilia to be illegal, right? I ain't got no base for that. I gotta find 385 votes for that.
You mean you want it to be legal?
Yeah, I want to legalize it. I want to legalize it.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, we all want it illegal.
Yeah, I want to legalize that as my.
I mean, first you should be thrown in jail. I mean, you should be thrown underneath the prison.
But I have the right to do that because I'm in a free society, though.
And see, I agree. I would say, and see, this is where I think a lot of times me and you, Tracy, we depart because I think you're hearing me say they shouldn't get to run. I'm not saying they shouldn't get to run. I'm saying if you can do the requirements to get on the ballot, you should run. But that doesn't mean that you get equal say as everybody else if ain't nobody trying to hear you. Like, you ain't got nobody but your sister and your third cousin backing you.
If you can't get 300
here comes my question though. How do you, if you're like this person I talked to yesterday, and so many of the candidates I talked to talked to candidates over the span of my show, how do you establish a base when you don't have one?
You start working on it before you try to run.
Yeah, you start working.
Okay, now that's an open-ended answer.
That might be a 5-year run up. That might be a 2-year run up. But it ain't going to be the election that cycle.
It might be a 6 month.
Who you are.
It depends on if you have a populist agenda. Then it might be a 6 month cycle.
Yeah, and you might be already famous or popular.
But
like if you're already famous, then you can walk into any room and somebody puts a microphone.
But here's my other thing. Here's the other part of it. If you can't get 385 people to get that on the ballot, why should I spend my taxpayer money to put your ass on the ballot anyway? I'm spending taxpayer money to put to have to change the ballot, to put your name on there, to print all these ballots up. That's costing millions anyway, just to run an election. Elections aren't free, right? I'm gonna do all this to get you, and then you can't even get 385 people to. I'm wasting money. Like you shouldn't even be on the ballot.
Yeah, I think that there are problems. We've touched on this.
I think 385 is low. It should be probably like 300,000 at least.
Well, no, the reason why is that, Antoine, is because depending upon
if it's a statewide office, it should be.
It depends on where you are. It may be you have to do 2% of the casted votes in the prior election or something like that. I think that should be the bench. I think the financial part should be low, right? It should be like, say, $1,000. That way we know you're serious. And then you need to have, let's say, 2% or 5%, whatever the number is, and then you go do it. If you can't do it, you didn't have enough people.
But here comes my other side of it, and this definitely happened, and I'm a witness to it because I know. So I'm going to use somebody. I did not vote for Jill Stein in this past election. I did not. In Indiana, you have to get, and I still know this number, 37,963 signatures to get on the presidential ballot. She was able to get 50,000. Now, guess what they did to?
They contested the signatures.
And got them thrown off. Why? Because the Green Party doesn't have money to fight that in court. They knew that. Green Party is not out here with billions of dollars. So she got the signatures, but then they got super, oh, well, you didn't staple it, and you didn't. And look what
that's the game.
Look what they did to Butch Ware. Look what they did. I mean, I'm like, I can name example after example.
I get it. That's the game. It's everywhere.
They purged was 500,000. They purged 500,000 voters from Georgia rolls.
But it's
3 months before the election.
It's like people are okay with this.
Right,
I'm like, no, we can't say that. We cannot. Well, first of all, we don't live in a democracy. Could we please stop fooling ourselves and saying we live in a democracy? To me, oligarchy, a government that's controlled by corporate interests.
But hasn't that always been the case?
No, I'm saying people should stop saying this is for democracy. No, we don't.
We do live in a democracy. This is a broken democracy, but we live in a democracy.
A republic.
You have representative government. When you vote, you put somebody in office. Now, the fact that people in America are choosing not to be informed voters and they follow party line, or they vote on one or two issues, or they're intentionally uninformed, that is on us. Right. So the fact that you can be swayed by a commercial that you've seen 5 times, that's a you problem, right? That's a voter problem.
I'll agree with that. But what I'm saying, it's so frustrating because it's like we have the right, and this is what I'll be exploring in other podcasts, not to promote my own podcast, but how do we break it? Because I think I think the Democrats, Republicans are going down. I just can't see them coming out on the other side. I just can't. Maybe it's just me and I'm being hopeful. But what is it that we have? What is it that we could do, and kind of exploring those things? Because I'm like,
the thing I would say is this, and people are not going to like this answer because it's what I'm about to give is a responsible, realistic answer. And that's not what these people want. These people want, even though the problem that we exist in right now took 200 years to build, they want a 4 or 5 year solution.
No, it's going to take 8, maybe 20 years.
No, it's going to take longer than that. If it took 200 years to create the problem, you know it ain't going to take 5 and 10 years to fix it.
Or 4.
The only way that this thing changes is either we let it fall apart. It has to fall in on itself, completely crumble. Well, now we have a failed state. That's how you get a new government. So that means you're going to have to give up on everything you've ever known. The grocery stores ain't going to work no more. You ain't going to have no jobs. The currency ain't going to be worth a damn. You're going to go through rapid inflation, currency devaluation. You're going to have all these things. It's all going to have, all of it has to fall apart and we go straight to hell.
Well,
and then
America is a declining superpower.
Being a declining superpower is not the same thing. Being a declining superpower, you can stop before you hit rock bottom. You can slide down into apartheid. You can slide down into aristocracy or oligarchy, as we're saying. Like, there's a lot of stops between here and anarchy. But that's what it would take as far as like the natural flow of how governments work. Just look around the world, see how it works. What we are asking for is this best solution that we've never seen. And that is a solution that means no violent revolution. People just decide to do the right thing and save the country. That's what I advocate for, but that is not human. It's not what we do.
Yeah, that's not quite the way revolutionaries work.
It's not how life works. Like,
yeah, it's like, I don't really.
It would be great if all of a sudden everybody who's in Congress right now, because they're already rich, they already got their money, and they just wake up tomorrow and they say, you know what, for good or bad, let's save this country. Okay, we're going to vote Trump out of office, and his entire administration is going to go on trial, and whoever needs to be removed is going to get removed. And we're going to bring all the governors of all the states together, and we're going to figure out how we can have a new, convention to figure out how we can stabilize things and plan for a way forward. That would be great. Not going to happen.
Sorry.
Right. Because that takes that, which, you're making too much sense. It's like, I'd rather keep moving because I could talk about this all. I'm just like, okay, so we doing what y'all ask us and y'all still playing around with this.
That's the problem there. And this is, I have my take on this is in the Black community, but just generally as speaking as an American, that is part of the problem. We're one of our complaints is we're doing what you asked us to do, and you still ain't good enough for you. The problem is that you're doing what they asked you to do. The people with the power who have no interest in sharing the power are telling you what to do.
Right, but how does a third, if you have to get signatures to get on the ballot, because that's the way this person has decided to make a change, and then the system set up, you're not going to get on the ballot. We know your campaign doesn't have enough money because the courts would be the way to challenge it.
Well, that's ideally, but I did. Mandani got was going through the same process.
Mandani is a Democrat, though. He ran as a Democratic socialist. He still
and he
ran
had the
under
entire
the
country trying to keep his butt out of it.
Yeah, the whole.
He had the entire Democratic Party idiots trying to keep him off the ballot. But you knew he was going to have the Republicans against him. Yeah, he ran as a Democrat.
But the
machine turned against him to push him out. All the money in the world was there to push him out. It took him having a groundswell of popular grassroots support that was bigger than the opposition to get it through. That's what the third party guy has to do. The third party guy has to acknowledge that what he's pushing. What? I'm recording. Okay, thanks, babe. The third party guy has to acknowledge that what he's pushing, they're not buying. So he's not selling the right thing.
Right.
It's not that CNN won't let him on stage. Yeah, it's because the people in his own community don't want to hear what he's saying.
Mandali established a base very quickly, and that base grew fast. It was community people. He was saying the things that people wanted to hear that nobody else was talking about.
Yeah, so that's my thing. That's how it happened. So my advice to third parties is, and it's the same advice I'll continue to give. One, you guys need to compete with each other so that the best ideas make it to the top, and you can congeal around an actual platform. So long as everybody has their own like individualized me fi me kind of thing, you'll never be a competitor for a major party because you're too narrow, right? Because like I push back on, I don't even know who it was, so let's just make up a candidate. Third party presidential nominee has a great plan for the redistribution of wealth in America and getting universal health care. Let's say they have that. And then I asked them, okay, well, what is your detailed plan for solving the Gaza situation, solving the Ukraine situation, solving the Uganda situation? What is your international plan? Well, I don't know. What? Oh, we ain't gonna sell them weapons no more. Oh, so you think the killing's gonna stop because you stopped selling weapons?
Yeah, but you established there what if they haven't done the research and they say that if that's a real voters issue, right? Because it might not be a voters issue. You might say that, well, I don't give a fuck what happens in Gaza, but then it might be a situation where people like really care about what happens in Gaza, and then and then you're ignoring that. I mean, they matter, so to speak. Like
no, hear me out. If you're gonna be president, you got to have a domestic policy, and that's usually what we move on. We move on economics.
Yeah, the foreign policy too.
Foreign policy is one of those things that seldom wins you an election. but it can lose you an election, right? Just ask Kamala.
Sure did.
You come out here and you have a
Sure enough
terrible,
lost her.
you got a terrible international policy. Why would I vote for you? Like, what you gonna have me in a war 6 months from now, bro? What's up?
I mean, of course, Trump lied and said no more wars, but of course he did.
Yeah, but I mean, we all knew he was lying. His people, the people who
Well,
voted
his
for Trump,
people was
voted
like,
for a different reason.
Yeah, they just like, we don't care. But not to pressure y'all, but can we move on? No, I'm just joking.
No, we can move to whatever's next. I
Yeah.
don't care, whatever next.
No, I'm good. We can.
So Tracy, you want to talk about the boycott?
Yes, the blackout boycott. So a couple thoughts on this. One, if you've lived under a rock, there has been outcry from Black activists online to boycott Asian-owned businesses because of and I forget what his first name is, the child situation in South Carolina, where he unalived a Black youth. His life was apparently in danger, but he shot him in the back. And
After chasing him.
And this was the camel that this was the straw that broke the camel's back. So there's been a large a large contingency to do something I think we should have been did anyway, is to take our money and put it within our own communities. We shouldn't have needed, we don't have to protest against Asian people to look out for our own. We don't have to do that. You can still buy Chinese food, but your money should always, your intent, if you are Black, should be to support your own community. However, there's been some fallback on this two things. So we now have reports, and I've been kind of following this, of Asian businesses pretending to be Black owned. So essentially, they're cosplaying Black owned businesses. And the second thing they're doing is something called ghetto AI. That's the term for it. I didn't come up with it. So what ghetto AI is you'll see this a lot on Facebook. They'll have like a commercial and the lady will start out like, she'll sell something not stereotypically Black, like belt buckles. And she'll say, oh, well, somebody told me not to start my belt buckle business because I'm Black and I couldn't succeed. And she gives you these tears and all this. And she says, please support my business and we'll give you a link. You're thinking, oh, I'm supporting a Black owned business, but you're really not supporting a Black owned business. You're supporting something like Temu is really good at this, or you're supporting other other companies that use sweatshop equity or sweatshop workers to produce those items. So that's what I wanted to talk.
I am curious.
I got a couple questions about this too.
Who came up with the term ghetto AI? I bet it was
us. I don't like the term. I don't like it.
I'm not blaming you for the term, but I'm willing to bet you we came up with that. So first of all, that's taking ownership of a term. That's an us problem. Second of all, and I've already spoken on this, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but if your reason is, like I said, it's between reaction and awakening, right? So I think that what you're seeing is a lot of reaction. So it's going to peter out and it's going to disappear like it always does.
In a month or so.
Yeah, because awakening is we need to make sure we have an economic base so we can help support our own communities so that we can start to fund our own education or fund our own employment, fund. But that is not the spirit that is flowing right now. The spirit that is flowing right now is driven by anger and hate. And that will not stand.
And I gotta say something too about that, because I'm like, okay, this man, one man, and I'm gonna say this might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm just gonna say it because I'm thinking about if this was this is a one person. This is not indicative of every Asian business, or are we just putting everything on the back of this one man that shot this boy? Not saying it doesn't happen. Not saying it doesn't happen, because it happened in Compton back in, I think it was the 90s or early 90s or something like that. But like I wouldn't want us to be based the whole race upon the actions of a couple people. You know what I'm saying?
I don't disagree.
So I mean,
Because
I think Theus's point that we should make ourselves more economically like viable. So like we're not trying to pimp our own community by charging outrageous prices for a lamb chop. You know, I should be paying $75 for a piece of meat that I get at another store for $10. You know what I'm saying? Charge me $150 to park my car just to come into your restaurant, and then charge me another group gratuity because there's more than 2 people in my group. You know what I'm saying? There's things like we need to do amongst ourselves, like, you know, to be competitive for our own people. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we should just boycott the whole community unless we should. And like, if we're gonna boycott somebody, we need to boycott that community.
White folks.
Because that's the one. They're the ones. They're more impactful than anything we got. And we're gonna try to consolidate. We would try to consolidate ourselves amongst ourselves. Like, look, we need to get out.
And
get out
also, if you
pocket.
think about it, I mean, here's what, because I talked about this. I made a couple of months ago, before this even happened, I had made the conscious decision. I'm going to start focusing my money in on Black-owned businesses.
Now we need to make them respect our business. We need to make them respect our money. That's something we need to do.
But there was a reason why I did that. I got tired of walking into the beauty supply house and you're speaking your own language, which you know I don't know. You're disrespecting. You're following me around the store. Got tired of it. I said, you know what? I'm got tired for this because I'm one. When I get tired, I'm not gonna stay a whole lot.
Tracy,
I'm just gonna make an intentional decision to move a different way.
This is you landing in the right place. You're landing in the right place. I think that's where a lot of people are kind of at this point. We have a shared frustration, but the thing is, I really need. I mean, it won't happen, but people really need to recognize when they're this upset and they're this angry, to look at their anger and dissect it. Because, okay, the issue with for you when you go to the store is you don't feel welcome, you don't feel appreciated, and you're not sure what's going on as far as how they see you. So it's not a good feeling. Response: I'm going to go find somewhere I feel more comfortable. Within that, let's try to start Black. And if I can't find it at a Black store, now what? Are you back at the Asian place? Are you going to Amazon? Like what happens? So for me, it's like people are landing almost in the right place, but they're being driven there out of an emotional reflex, as opposed to.
Not to have,
I'm not saying don't. You should feel.
Right,
you should feel angry.
I spend on the very low end of hair care. I do not spend a lot of money on it because just look, and you can tell I don't be spending that much. But when I do spend on hair and hair oils, it's not cheap. Like, you gonna respect my dollar. You gonna put some respect on my name.
But do they have to?
They should. And if that happened to the Black store that I went to, I stopped going there. And if it stopped there, I would go somewhere. I'm going to keep finding it until I hit that right place. Who owns it shouldn't matter.
No, it should.
But again,
I disagree. It should matter. What I'm saying is the reason that it matters is up for debate. Like, treat it like a lot of our other counterparts do, because I don't view any other group. Look, if I'm going to have an ethnic enemy, I'm going to add up the offenses towards my people, and whoever has the highest count of offenses towards my people, that's the enemy. But all these other people, it's almost like we're a bunch of racial groups in a prison, and we're all fighting with each other over the cell block, but nobody's mad at the warden. This is crazy to me. So if you want to support Black business, then I'm saying ask yourself why you want to support Black business. Is it because of how they treat you, or is it because of what you want to do for your people? Now, if it's about what you want to do for your people, that will help you, because when you go to the Black business, there's stories right now, you can find all over the place, where Black women, I love my sisters, and this is not a critique on them, this is just where they're shopping. Black women have stopped going to all these little Asian nail shops, and they're trying to go to Black-owned nail shops, but they're complaining because the cost is almost twice as much to go to the Black-owned nail shop. And they think that the reason or the response is that the Black people are charging them too much. And that's not the case. The thing is, the Black nail salon has to follow every single rule, or they will be shut down. They will come and take their licenses. They will stop their ability to make money. So that means they got to spend money on more expensive products. That means they're not using that gel that causes you cancer. They got to do all these different things. That makes their price go up. But if you go to the Asian store, generally speaking, they're not under scrutiny. So they got somebody in there who ain't licensed.
Yeah,
they violating all kinds of health codes. You know, they can charge you less because they have less cost. And the chemicals that they're using, they're getting it straight from overseas. So it's not being under the same scrutiny. So it's like, if you're going to shift because of what you want to do for your community, then you'll shift knowing it's going to cost me a little bit more.
And we have to also recognize this fact too. Like, if you're coming, because I'm in this industry, so at that point, you also recognize that a person who's coming from, Vietnam or something like that, or whatever, Cambodia, that's probably all family, right? They're probably paying them very little because they're commuting their monies together, right? So therefore the big impact, the payroll is a huge one. They're saving so much on payroll that they can afford to charge less, right?
Yes.
If I still got to pay Tamika, the amount of money and get her tips and stuff like that, I got to pay her more. So I got to charge more to make a business.
And then here's the next angle to it.
So that is their business. That's a business model that they can run that makes them profitable very fast.
And this is what I want people to think about with what you just shared, Antoine.
And they live together. They all live together.
Well, not only that, but they do, because they're sponsoring family members.
Exactly. They all live together.
And then next thing you know, they'll start another shop, and one of them will go over there.
And they flip it. Exactly.
What I'm getting at, though, is this is all done on the back of the Black consumer, because we are their customer base. At the nail salon and the hair salon. We are the customer base. So they've literally undercut what used to be ours so that they can charge less. So we'll come to them instead of going to ourselves. So with this energy that's going right now is anger. Another young person got killed, so we're going to do collective punishment against all Asians. That's wrong. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
But if you're going to instead say, this is one too many. This is one too many, where our babies are just being killed in the streets, and now they're not even safe from random citizens killing them, right? We have to do something. We're going to invest in ourselves. If that's the answer, I am 100% on any boycott you want.
See, I think you're double speaking, and I'll tell you why I think you're double speaking. I'll explain. I'm saying, why can't you be both? And listen, hear me out.
You can.
Why can't you? Because I literally started at a place of anger. That's where I started at. I'll admit it. I'll own up to it. It was anger. However, where I got to was ultimately the right answer. Like, I got to that point that you're talking about, is thinking about, hey, how can I put money in businesses that look like me? Now, just because, and I'll say this, just because a business has a person that looks like me that mean I'm gonna always shop with you. That does
Correct.
not mean that. However, my intent now is my next thing is to find a co-op instead of a grocery store. I used to go to an independent pharmacy, but Walgreens keeps buying them up. Walgreens just go through and
You're
they
not gonna
just
find it.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
tell
gonna
you
be
now.
hard to find a co-op. It's gonna be hard to find a co-op.
You're not gonna find it.
Yeah, everywhere. That's
they
gonna get.
used to have co-ops. I mean,
They
they
used
used
to.
to.
Walgreens and Cigna and Caremark, they got rid of them.
They got rid of them.
Yeah, they got rid of it. But what I'm talking about, especially if you look at, let's take this to the white supremacy card, Walmart. Biggest grocery chain. People go to Walmart for a couple of reasons. Convenience.
Mhm.
They have so much supply that they can offer those lower prices.
Which they actually don't.
They actually
They
don't.
they do.
Yeah, farmers markets are better.
No, I'm not even
But
saying that. I'm saying that, and I'm sorry, Tracy. Go ahead and finish.
what I was going to say is when you look at someplace like especially when you talk about food deserts, and I'll get to where I'm getting at. When you talk about food deserts, somehow connecting Black-owned food co-ops. I put together 20 and you put together 30, and we get our own grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also have to control distribution because where
Mm-hmm.
are we buying our vegetables from? How are we cooling frozen items?
Mm-hmm.
How are we
This is part of starting a business.
right? But I'm saying those things have to take into account. You can't just, I'm just gonna start selling stuff out of a box. No, I'm not buying nothing from you. I want my stuff fresh.
That's because we bougie. Because you got to start somewhere, right? You got to start somewhere. So if you look, I love to look at the Latino markets as my inspiration, because they start with carts, bodegas, corner stores. Now they have grocery stores and restaurants that are tied to the grocery store. Like they have a butcher in the grocery, like
they have it self-contained, completely
right.
self-contained.
But you start here and you go there. We have not chosen to support those of us who are doing the other things
because
right?
we assimilated. I mean,
We
that's
have.
what we
Well, it's true. We're very assimilated. But what I'm saying is, now that we're trying to become more conscious, I don't think that the answer is I hate you, so I'm going over here. I'm saying if hate is going to be your motivation, I question why this is who you chose.
I think what started it was, though, and TikTok is a terrible thing, especially now that the ownership left to the original left. But there was a clip on YouTube of an Asian young man saying, we don't need you. You don't like it. No, I'm just saying that was one person. I agree. It was one person.
And that's all it took.
But
yeah,
and it got shared. I mean, that thing got
that was intentional.
Yeah, because it scratched the itch.
Right. It got shared by so many people.
It got scared. It got shared by people who hate us. It got shared by people who are us. It got shared by people who want to hurt us. It got shared, right? I'm like, look, guys,
the echo chamber is about separation anyway.
Yeah, but I am not saying, like, go back and listen to a lot of old Kwame Ture speeches and conversations. And one of the things he says, there's a difference between mobilization and organization. And it's we as Black people are the easiest people to mobilize. All I got to do is write it on a sign, the N word, and put it out somewhere.
Yep,
or say that somebody called such and such an N word, or say that somebody fired Sister Mary because she's Black. We will swarm on whatever it is because we're easy to mobilize. So what I think we're seeing right now is mobilization. We're offended. We needed something to respond to. The Asian community is a convenient target.
Especially since they're
gonna fight back.
Well, even if they do fight back, it's two subgroups fighting each other.
Yeah, they're not gonna fight back.
Yeah, and like we're fighting. It's like I wish we would realize they're not the enemy.
Well, they might be. They might
Well,
be, but
no,
I'm saying like
no.
you're choosing the
I'm
little one.
saying white supremacy is the enemy. That's the enemy,
Well, see, I
right?
don't believe white supremacy is real.
Oh, I do. Oh, I think
I call it white inferiority, but I don't believe white supremacy is real. Because you can believe whatever you want to, but I look at the definition of supreme, and they ain't nothing supreme about these people.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do think racism is real. I do think systemic racism is real. I do think all of those things. But I also think that the common line across all of it is about who has power and who has the ability to employ that power. And if you got the power over me, you will abuse that power over me. That is human.
And I think with the whole affirmative action thing, now the Asian community is starting to realize, hey, taking away affirmative action wasn't the smartest thing that you could have did.
Yeah. The white power structure used the Asian community to undermine the 14th Amendment. Having done so, they then quickly tossed the Asians aside and then went harder at the 14th Amendment. But they used the Asians to crack the seal. And they were able to use the Asians by pitting them against us. And because we're so aggrieved, we fell for the bait.
Yeah, it's like they're using Latino, they're using immigrants.
Using everybody.
If I hear one more time, the immigrants are stealing jobs from Black people. No, they're not. You can't steal a job that somebody doesn't offer. You cannot steal a job if somebody doesn't give it to you. They are exploiting these immigrants. They're paying them under the table. They're not paying them a working wage. They're not giving them health care benefits. They don't. And you're being racist towards them.
Yes, but you talk to a Black person and they will quickly say that we can't be racist. And then we'll say the reason why we can't be racist is because we don't have power. But here's the thing. We can't be racist towards white people. We can be bigoted. We can be prejudiced. We can't be racist towards white people because we do not have the ability to affect outcomes for them on a class level. We just ain't got it. But we do have that kind of power when it comes to immigrants. And guess how we chose to respond when it was our opportunity to show a better way to respond to these impulses? We decided to act the exact same way.
Exactly.
So
it's like, well, they're putting them in hotels. Well, you want them on the street? You can't even prove it. First of all, you can't prove this. Second of all, okay, they put them in hotels.
And how does that hurt you?
On the street?
And how does that hurt you?
Right? Like you don't want them to have food.
So this is why you keep hearing me say as of late over the last few months that I keep pointing back to power dynamics and I don't just say racism, because this is a problem with humanity. Each group wants to feel aggrieved. White people got 80% of all the privilege in America, but they still feel aggrieved because of the 20% they're missing. Black people have a lot of reasons to be aggrieved, but we still want to abuse a group that's weaker than ours. Asians are doing the same thing. Latinos are doing the same thing. Everybody is doing this to each other because everybody is jockeying for how do I use the power I have to keep whoever is I perceive to be behind me. Right. And so that's why I keep saying, like, the reason you're doing things matters. If the reason is for a betterment of your community, then I'm all for every type of boycott you want to do. But understand what you're causing when you do it. Because the real answer is not a boycott. The real answer is shifting your energy and shifting your focus. If you're going to move your money to the Black community as right of first refusal, because that's pretty much what the Asian and the Latinos communities do. They look at their community first. If they can't get it there, they go outside. They can get it.
Yeah, they find a way to get it.
Right. So
we go outside of our community first, which we do.
We look everywhere else first.
We look everywhere.
But if we want to do this, here's where I think a lot of people are not ready for. But I think if this is, first of all, I agree with Antoine. I don't think this is going to last. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's going to last. But if it does have some sticking power to it, what you're going to quickly find, and I'm working on my own little piece of the solution, but what you're going to quickly find is that because we have not been building all this time and we are so thoroughly integrated and assimilated,
We don't have no
you
infrastructure.
will have to look outside a lot more than you want to.
Well, you have to, because if you did the black grocery store, like I said, if 20 black people got together and said, hey, we're gonna build us a grocery store, because grocery
We
stores
won't go.
cost a lot of money to build. No, I'm saying you got to get permits. That's your first problem right there, is getting permits. You got to
Not
get a
really.
freezer permit. You got to get a freezer. You got to get freezers.
You
You
don't have to have a
get-
grocery store like that per se. You could just do. You could have.
Do a farmer market. You can do
Yeah,
a pop-up.
you can do a pop-up market or whatever. That'd be
Okay,
the
but
first
I'm
start.
going bigger here. I'm thinking of the bigger.
Well, even,
I
even,
understand.
even if you're going bigger though,
And
if
we
you're
can
going,
do
if
bigger.
you're going bigger like that, you're talking about a
It
partnership
doesn't.
somewhere.
Yeah, I'm talking about pulling your money together to start the missing business. That's what I'm talking
Yes,
Who's
but
gonna
Tracy,
pull that
I
money
agree
together?
with you. But here, let's toss that real quick. I mean, not toss it as I mean, let's look at it just for a moment. Let's say you needed the 20 black people, because that way, if as Antoine we heard recently, if a lot of people do a little, then a few people don't have to do as much, right? So you get the 20 people, and they each can bring in, say, $100,000. So now you got, what is that, $2 million? I don't know what the number is. Help me out. All right, but you got the money to start your store. You can pay for your permits. You can get the building lease. You can start your process of doing all the things you need to do. Okay. The thing is, you're still not at scale. You are one store. You are one store in one location.
Right.
Okay.
You're
So
one
that means
store.
you're going to pay more for everything you put in that store. So when people come shopping, you're not going to have the same level of amenities as a Publix or a Kroger. So we have to be willing to say, in this community, local community,
That's okay. It's okay
That's
to do
okay.
it dark Walmart.
I'm sewing into this.
But
right?
you're going to pay more.
But you're going to pay more.
Mhm.
Now, if you go to the local bodega, no, not bodega, those are too small. The local carnicerias and supermercados, their prices are not cheaper, but you're going there because of the selection that they have that's reflective of their community and the stuff that you're just willing to go spend the money there.
But let me say, because I've funded those like from Costco, so they aren't cheaper across the board, right? Certain Target products they are cheaper on, right? Like
But we're still boycotting Target, right?
Well, no, I'm saying Target. I'm talking about Target products. So like you might go to the produce, and the produce might be a lot cheaper. Like cilantro might be a lot cheaper. White onions might be a lot cheaper. Tomatoes might be a lot cheaper. But meat might cost less because they're chopping their own meat in house. But you on the products like bacon that comes from Hormel, it's going to be more expensive. Like Tide is going to be more expensive. Nissan ramen noodles might be more expensive because they're buying those. They're not buying them at scale. They're buying them at a smaller scale.
They're buying at wholesale. Yeah.
What they would usually do is buy it through a bigger one, like they would buy it through Costco, buy it through us, get our pricing, and then when they sell it in their store, it'll be a lot better price than they would have. Even on their Procter & Gamble products, it'd be the same thing. So what they'd have to do, so on the things that they were good at, like when the meats that they chop up for themselves, like you can go in their markets and you can find like ground chicken for $2.99. But you go to Publix, it's $4.99. You can go and get like pork chops would be like, you get a steak in there that might be $8 and $8 a pound, but they can sell it for $4.59 a pound because they're doing everything in house. So that's how they compete. So people will go there for those things like that and that's how you do. So if we were going to scale something like that, we'd have to have that same principle. We're not going to be higher.
We're not value shopping.
We're not value shopping on everything. But on what we can do would be the things that we would normally have in our households, right? Collard greens be cheap, yams be cheap, chicken would have to be cheaper, meats have to be cheaper. Because that's what but we'd also take more responsibility and do that in-house. And that's not something that we always do. Not saying we can't do it.
That's a learned behavior that will come over time.
I'm all for that. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I think me and Thea start talking about that's what we need to do to prevent some of these food deserts. It go back to the local fruit man, the local vegetable man. that would come through the
So
neighborhood.
I want to talk about that a little bit because I think there's a problem that maybe we aren't even talking about. There's this little thing called winter. It's good to buy fresh fruits and vegetables in the summertime when, you go to the farmer's market, you can go to the bodegas. I don't know what Georgia weather is, but I know in December and Indiana, I'm not going outside to look for stuff.
Yeah, but that's also
So-
that's where you're buying from a different market, though.
Yeah, that's
Like,
when
you're
you go to
buying
Publix.
no, not even that. You're gonna even when you what you're doing
No,
is you're
but
gonna let's say instead of it being all locally grown fruit or vegetables or whatever, it might be coming from South America now because they're in a different season than we are during that time.
Yeah, but
So
this is what I'm getting at. So staying
But
with
you got
we started a local grocery store. So first of all, because it's a local grocery store, like we said, costs are going to be higher because you're not buying it by the fleet truckloads, right? Like
Right.
when Kroger buys ham, it's buying enough ham to take care of an entire city's worth of Kroger stores. You're
Right.
doing it for this store. Okay. So cost is going to be a little higher. That's fine. If we agree that as a community that's what we're sowing into, and we don't mind seeing the owner of that grocery store become your next wealthy person without demonizing them for becoming wealthy, that's, we got to work on that. Then that's cool. And then like with the fruit situation, during the local growing season, then you could have your groceries where it is much like a farmer's market model where you buy fruits and vegetables from local farmers and producers to put in your store. But when it's the off season, then you trim down your grocery section, and the people who can't get, and if you wanted to get, I don't know, mangoes, I'm sorry, this grocery store
ain't no
can't
mangoes. We ain't got no mangoes.
It's like we ain't in
Kroger and
season
get you some
because when you start talking about shipping food internationally, your costs about to go.
That's what I just said though, Tracy.
I'm just saying
I wouldn't do it.
You like quadruple.
That's what happens in the grocery store right now.
Right, but what I'm saying is, and I guess I'm not saying this the way I want to say it. We have to change our own mind.
You have to do crop rotation. You have to do crop rotation too, though. Like
yes, that's what we had to do because I would love to buy local vegetables.
That's crop rotation.
But of course,
I got winter cabbage. I got summer cabbage.
But I can't do it year round.
You can't.
You ain't gonna get stuff winter. You ain't gonna get stuff.
Here's the thing, and I hate to say this to folks, but this is what's real, y'all. If you decide that you want to be free, there are costs to being free. We have not chosen we want to be free because we don't want to pay those particular costs. Right. And I'm not saying that as a judgment argument. I'm saying that's just what it is. So if you decide that I want to separate myself from the national chains that have not been doing right by us, so we feel anyway, then
you ain't getting started.
One of the trade-offs is you're not always going to have the selection that you want. Go on vacation to a third world country or any other country. You will not see all the things that you think you want. And guess what those people do? They don't mind. They buy what makes sense when it makes sense. And that's all they do.
They buy what's in season.
Right. So we would have to be willing to make that pivot. I'm sorry you want peaches
let me just
November.
Say this, even just with the World Cup being here, I'm watching some of the Europeans coming to our grocery stores, like they're saying, "Oh my God, you have so much selection." I'm like, "Selection?
Because we're gluttons."
Like you have these fruits and vegetables that are available year round. These are not available in our country,
right?
So that's the same thing. So
one of the perks of being what we are, and I think, and this is where we
monopolize everywhere else.
And we'd have to process this as a community, which would take time, but we'd have to process the fact that we're not telling you, at least I would never say this to my people. I'm not telling you can't shop anywhere else. You are an American citizen. Go shop wherever the heck you want to. But this is what we're trying to do over here. So when you need your vegetables and you know that this store offers local vegetables, please come here first.
Right.
Let us be your first stop on your shopping trip. Get everything you need that we have, and then you go to the next one. In fact, if you talk to Europeans and you talk to a lot of South Americans, they don't just go to one store to shop.
Right.
They go to multiple stores.
Yeah, I go to multiple. I don't go to
Let me just say it like this, though. Let me say this because I shop a lot. So, I'll be honest. There's only one DeKalb Farmers Market, right? Everybody in the international community goes to DeKalb Farmers Market. Trace, I know you know what I'm talking about.
That's the one off Ponce, right?
Yeah, it's a big farmers market, right?
You said Tracy. I'm like, no, I had no idea what you talking about.
It's a big farmers market, right? That everybody goes to that one. If that was a black owned, that could easily be a black owned market, right? That's all. It would be very easy.
I think it is. Isn't it owned by some?
It might be.
Africans or something.
It might be. It might be. It might be owned by some Ethiopians, I think. So stuff like that. That's a international market, and they mostly have international things in there, right? That's something that can happen. It doesn't have to go to scale because they don't need no 5, 6, 7 of them. They just needed one big one, right? One that everybody come to.
Go to a Super H Mart. Yeah. That thing looks all fancy from the outside. Walk inside, it's just as simple as you want it to be.
Yeah, simple. Like beautiful farmers market, and that's a different beast because they sell to everybody and they have a lot of variety. But you don't need. There's only one though in the whole city though, right? So you don't need a whole bunch of now strategically, they're usually placed in areas where they have a population that can support it. So that's another thing. So if we're gonna do a market, you could easily do a black market, but not everybody wants to get in that. I know that T.I. and Killer Mike are doing one in Bankhead. They're asking for businesses to come in Bankhead because it's been a notorious food desert for a long time. So they're asking for an Aldi's or what's that other one? Littles to come in that area and do that kind of stuff, which is great.
Okay. Do y'all still got the Piggly Wiggly?
If you go to the Sticks,
you go to some of the southern.
Yeah, because we don't have one. I'm like, it's a store actually called the Piggly Wiggly. I think this is the last thing I want to say though. Again, we have to make a decision that we're going to support. You're exactly right, Antoine, when you say, hey, if I go to Leo's store and I want peaches, but it's December, I probably gonna need to go to Aldi's to get peaches in a can. See, there's these things called a can that you can store.
You don't have to punish yourself. You don't have to punish yourself. You ain't gotta go get no canned fruit. You just go to the other grocery store and buy you some dang on fruit.
Yeah, go to Costco and get some fruit.
Like, you're not giving up your citizenship, people.
Yeah,
I'm just asking you to build some class and community solidarity.
Or just divert 8%. Just divert 20. Like I said, like most businesses know that 80% of our business is gonna be done by 20% of our products, right? So all I need to get your 20. If I can get your 10 to 20% market share, I'm good.
Oh, I'll do you one better.
Good.
If you've been spending 5%, just double it to 10%.
Yeah, that's it.
Like I was saying before, when I was talking about the boycotts, when I was talking about the different rolling boycotts, one of the things I mentioned was Amazon. It's really hard. If you ever want to boycott Amazon, it's really hard because it's everybody's everything at this point.
I got
to. It sure is.
So the way you boycott Amazon as a Black community, I would say, is you pick certain product categories. We will not buy our paper goods from you. We will not buy our personal hygiene products from you. Just those two columns, those two segments, we won't buy it from Amazon. So that is how you boycott a national or international chain. But then you go to yours and you buy those things, or you go to Kroger or wherever you go. But in this particular case, the energy is the shift. We can't get too hung up on what the store is you're going to. The energy is the shift, because it still gets deeper than that. And we can't do it in this conversation, but it still gets deeper than that, because once we start shifting our money and our energy to a Black-owned business, to say it's Antoine's grocery store, one of the things, we might do that at first without saying anything to Antoine. But then we're going to start having some demands. We're going to say, hey, Antoine, we need you to support the local school sports team. Or, hey, Antoine, we need you to get some seating areas over here, because it would be really nice if you had like a little hot bar area or something. right? You can start making demands of Antoine after you start helping him be more capitalized, right? And that's how we get better amenities and we get better selection, and how we get a barbecue shop next door to the grocery store who buys their meat from the grocery store, right? This is how you grow. And we just have to decide that's what we want to do, and understand that it won't be perfect, and understand that it won't be easy, so that we're not setting ourselves up for failure.
Let me give a good example. The seafood places always in the hood always have to get your fresh seafood from. They always fry the seafood in-house. Have y'all know? If you noticed that, I don't know if they got it in Indiana, Trace, but they do it in the South.
I don't go to the hood.
Yeah, they got plenty of them.
I don't like fried fish.
Well, see,
but I do like their shrimp and fries. I do that.
So they always got that in. They always the place they that's how they expand their business, though. You know what I'm saying? Like Bacon Seafood Market, right? That's the same kind of example of how it happens. You know, just you used to go get your fried fish, get your wings, get your
they
shrimp,
shut down, and then T.I. and Killer Mike brought them back, right?
Brought it back, yeah. So now they got their thing is a fish sandwich. You know what I'm saying? We talked about that. But another good example, like the Curb Market at the Curb Market in MLK, right? Mostly Black-owned businesses that are in there. The things that they have are like, you know, that's where, you know, you get your, you know, you get the things that you can't find anyplace else. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I say that, like, you know, people that want chitlins, that want hog moths for Thanksgiving and Christmas, they sell that in like a bulk abundance. You know, if I need to get, you know, 60 pounds of chitlins, I can go there. I can't go to Kroger and do that.
Yeah, they sell based on their
market. They sell based on their market. They sell mostly to us. Or collard greens, you get the big bushels and stuff like that. All that, you know, all that kind of stuff. The cornbreads, all that kind of stuff. Things that we typically buy, they sell that, right? So that's another example. Like, you specialize to your market, and you do that. So you don't got to come and get everything here, but you get that. I don't
need all your dollars.
Yeah, you just get that one particular category.
I just need more of your dollars than you gave me yesterday.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
So, but that's a good way to stop. That's a good place to stop at. I appreciate everybody.
Yeah, I think a good next conversation or a future conversation is really exploring this concept of expanding the community's economic base. You know, because what about daycares? What about barbershops and salons? What about food places? You know, there's so many things that we can touch on that our community is uniquely poised to already be able to do. So how do we identify those businesses? How do we encourage those businesses to care about their communities if they don't already? And
ship that $1.2 trillion to somewhere else.
Thank you.
Yeah, just ship that $1.2 trillion.
At least a portion of it.
It's not
hard
hard
to do.
Imagine
if we're spending $1.2 trillion, and first of all, one of the things about our buying power, I just want to say this because it's a bee in my bonnet. Buying power is one of the weakest powers you can have. Okay, but
manufacturing power is where it's at.
Yeah, but most of that buying power, though, our community, because of our economic positioning overall, is spent on necessary goods. So it's not very elastic. But if we focus on businesses that we can help support that are inelastic, which means it's things that we do need to go get, it makes it easier for us to go buy it from us. So, I mean, that's something I think would be great to explore. But I thank all of you for hanging with me, and we hit on some really good ones. And I think, Tracy, yours wins the day as being the most impactful ones to go through. Go ahead and yeah, it's a contest. You won the day. You stomped me, and you really beat up on Antoine. But you stomped me.
I didn't even get to talk about ghetto AI, but
I don't. So let's do that on maybe your platform.
I plan on talking about.
Yeah, because my thing about ghetto AI is I have a feeling that is a term created by and weaponized by Black folk, and I have a problem with
I think it's weaponized by somebody else outside the culture. Personally,
yeah, that'd be a good thing to figure out. I think,
but I don't know what else to call it. Cosplay Black. I don't know what. It's calling me a person.
You know, it's
color.
Funny though.
I can't stand that.
I don't want to get pulled off into this, but think about it. Black businesses have had to pretend to be not black businesses for a long time.
Sure have.
So it's a problem when other people do it to us, but not when we do it, because we're going to say it's a matter of survival. Well, they're losing money, so they think they're doing it as a matter of survival. So come on, guys. I mean, if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. And if it's fair play, it's fair play. This whole double-sided hypocrisy thing that we like to play in, that's from a very particular group's playbook. Why are we using their playbook if that's our problem? Let's do better. Let's do better. Let's do different. But go ahead and brag on yourselves so we can shut it down.
My name is Antoine Tucker, the Adnibicus most magnificent. I don't know what I just about to say. I was trying to think of something from that rap song. But anyway, owner and operator of the Tucker Agency here in Roswell, Georgia. I would appreciate if you need an insurance quote or anything like that of such nature, of life insurance. Give me a call, damn it. I'm here to help. I'm here to be your agent of choice, a record. So I'm also competing this year. Tracy, I was going to tell you this. We're competing for America's Got Talent this summer. So we'd like to have your monies. If you could help, go to our site is We Are the Community ATL Choir in Atlanta, Georgia. We're trying to raise $75,000 to make it to America's Got Talent so we can pay for the 40 or 50 some individuals to make it back to California. We got through the first round. We got 4 votes from all 4 judges. We got 4 yeses. So we're on our way trying to represent for the A. So if you could help, go to Deanna Dixon's site or go to We Are the Community ATL We Are Community _ATL and donate to the ATL to AGT. All right. That's it.
Tracy Media 74. Tomorrow I will be live at 7:00. And y'all know my Saturday show is just the silliest topics because I believe people need a laugh in this current climate. We'll be talking about variety shows. Remember variety shows? Carol Burnett show, Living Color, Saturday Night Live.
Arsenio Hall.
That's a talk show.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, because they ain't had no acting. They do sketches.
Oh, they didn't do no sketch. Oh, you talk Living Color?
In Living Color, the Jackson 5 variety show, Sonny and Cher. I'm taking it to that old school
Jackson
tomorrow.
5.
So
Only
join
because
me.
Tracy decided to name some Sonny and Cher. I got to say, Flip Wilson, folks. Flip Wilson.
Oh,
Flip
yeah, Flip Wilson. I forgot about, yes,
Wilson.
that's what we talking about.
Flip Wilson. Forget Carol Burnett.
Boy, bye. I'm going to fight you over Carol Burnett. That was one of the funniest shows ever.
From Flip Wilson.
It was way funnier than Flip Wilson.
All right, folks. So thank you so much for joining us.
Just like the 80s, the 70s is a better decade for TV than the 80s. I mean, why are we arguing?
I mean, Tracy decides to be wrong as we finish up the evening.
I guess.
But thank y'all. Make sure you support my partners here. Hey, y'all, if y'all shoot me the links that y'all want me to put, I'll put it in the comment section. But y'all have a good night.
All right.